Hey everybody, Chris from Blackstone here. I just wanted to interject really quick before we start today's show and talk about some new partners of the podcast, Tabletop Tech. This is a small family-run company out of Australia that is focusing on making the best possible case for your models. We're a Warhammer podcast, so obviously we're interested in taking care of our Warhammer models, but they do bolt action, they do battle tech, they do... I'm pretty sure they're supporting the new Trench Crusade. They do. I mean, basically, if you can think of it and there's a miniature for it, they will find a way to support it. We really want to highlight them right now. They've become partners of the podcast. We're super excited about this partnership. And one of the big things they're doing right now is they're doing a new Kickstarter. As of today, there's about 25 days left. They're something like 2,500% funded. I want to see number go up, and I think that you guys can help with that. So go check out the link in the description. Send them some love. Tell them the Blackstone Fortress sent you, and we'll see you guys in the rest of the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Blackstone Fortress. I am Chris, aka Snowy Night Owl. I'm joined this week by Nate, aka Pilch, Mark, aka Nobody Cares, and Coda, aka Limerick.
It hurts every time.
You know what? And I'm not going to stop doing it. This is officially supplanted the fake applause joke for the intro. Is that Mark doesn't get a handle? He's just Mark.
I don't want a handle.
So you either get Mark or Marky Mark. I'm sorry.
No. Be gone. Be gone.
I can lead with, oh, hi, Mark, if that would make you feel better.
No. We talked about this. No.
Hi, Mark.
Nate. You know what? I'm gonna wait till after the recording to say my true thoughts. I can put my business face on.
Oh, gentlemen, it has been a weirdly long break because fucking shenanigans. Our Halloween episode didn't record, which was wild. I went in to start editing it. There was no audio, so that sucked. And then there was something that happened down in the States that made everybody really stressed and freak out, and it was just a bad week. And now it feels like stuff's calmed down enough that we can finally get back to talking about little plastic soldiers.
Little plastic.
I mean, it's important.
It is. I feel like hobbies are the thing that's going to keep, civilization going.
Oh yeah, distractions.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a reason that, like, the last major event we went through with, COVID, we saw GW skyrocket in sales.
Yep. Well, a lot of people, it's because they finally had time. They were at home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but that's exactly it. I think people realize that hobbies are what gets you through the quiet times.
Yes. And that's a fantastic segue to the first thing that I want to talk about tonight, which is what gets you through the hobbies. And we're living in a little bit of a hobby renaissance, I think. And in my opinion, I think the strongest evidence of that has been Kickstarter over the last 6 months.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, top of everyone's mind here is our friends over at Tabletop Tech just launched their Mechie Plus Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I gotta pull this up because I want to give up-to-date information. So this is as of like 7:30ish Mountain Time on Thursday. The Mechie Plus Kickstarter. Do I have to refresh? Has it gone up? I have to scroll all the way back up. Ugh.
Which is only how many days old? Like,
we're 3 days. 3 days in. Well, this is day 3. So they launched on November the 12th as a happy birthday to Snowy thing.
Happy birthday, Snowy.
Which I was very happy about. And it turns out I share a birthday with Max from Tabletop Tech. So that was fun.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were funded in 25 minutes. Their goal was $5,000 Australian. The Kickstarter, as of today, is sitting at $77,953 Australian with 326 backers.
Jesus Christ.
So they've got stretch goals all the way up through 500 grand. We've hit 4. So they did 10, 15, 25, and 50,000. I'm super excited about it because one of the colors that's opened up in the stretch goal is like a teal blue, and it looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that neon green. That's what I'm all about, baby.
I just like the gunmetal gray.
I like the gunmetal gray. It's a good color. I probably, for me personally, am going to get the cobalt blue, not the teal, because it's a really close match to the color of my Knight Abominant, who is my favorite boy. I'm a backer. I was bragging the other day that for roughly 8 seconds on Tuesday morning, I was the only backer on the project.
Man stayed up all night waiting in line.
I absolutely did not, but I might have told my wife that if I wasn't up in time, she had to come dump water on me.
Oh my god.
Well, because one of the first things they had to do with their Kickstarter, and I was very pleased that they did this, is they were like, hey, so a bunch of the early bird stuff sold out in like 2 hours, and we think that's silly, and so we've doubled how much most of the early birds have. But because we are friends with Tabletop Tech, we had preview access, and so I could go in and I could see how many they had set for each of the early birds initially. Mm-hmm. And the Quad Knight case, which I really wanted because for a number of reasons, I might be slightly on the fence about it, but I still would like to go to LVO next year or in 2026. Right. And I need a case to carry my Knights. And these Mechie cases are perfect. And one of the things that they added in the Kickstarter that they didn't have in their old Mechie is a case specifically to carry 4 big Knights and 4 armatures. And nice. It is glorious. And the early bird price is actually less than I would have paid for the old version of the cases in order to be able to carry my boys. So I'm super duper ridiculously over the moon happy. I cannot wait to get my hands on my case. And and I bought a wall mount for mine. That was the other thing. I threw a wall mount into my pledge.
Nice. So, I didn't grab the wall mount, but I got one of the bigger customizable cases. Because like
the
ones
construction
that,
kits.
Yeah, because like it's really like the range they have is insane to me. Like they've got fucking pre-made kits for almost every like combat patrol battle force kit come out. They just have all their own places in the box. And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm talking too loud, but I got targeted ads for this Necron combat patrol from Tabletech specifically. Like I didn't even know this was a thing. They had ads. It's like the day of the
paying
release.
For ads is super. Like they're using backer kit to run their campaign. Yeah. And backer kit includes a lot. Like if you're going to run a bigger campaign like this for a business and you don't use backer kit, you're wrong and you should feel bad.
Yeah. So, but like to kind of tie into the Chris's original question here, like a big part for me, I think it's the biggest part for a lot of people for Tabletech cases and, getting through the hobby is trying to cut down on all these semi-necessary steps if you want to travel with your army in any capacity.
Oh, yeah.
One of which getting a case that up until now your best bet was to get magnetized, and that adds a whole other realm of magnetizing your bases and make sure everything works. And with these, they just clip right in, and it's made to order, and it's fantastic. And I'm so excited.
And we should mention, if you're not familiar with what the Mechie system is, the guy that designed the Mechie system, I'm hoping we're going to get to interview him at some point, which would be super cool. But one of the reason he wanted to make this is because their son Max plays Warhammer and was, I guess the story is he was complaining about cases at one point, and his dad, who's an engineer that has done work in the automotive industry, was like, well, I bet you I could design something that works. And one of the big things with the Mechie cases, and one of the things that they consider sort of like a defining trait of the Mechie cases, is it doesn't matter what's on top of the base because it holds it by the tapered edges of the bases. So you can do these cool display bases and have cool stuff on the base, and your case isn't going to wreck the base or the paint, which foam cases wreck the paint all the time.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I just I keep going back and scrolling through it and being like, oh, can I have this tomorrow? Like I need it. I need it so bad.
Like half my list that I want to bring for 2K is like half painted, and then like I've got segmented into like magnetized bases and like painted bases. There's different stages everywhere.
Also going to put out there that I have it on good authority. They're working on getting a Mechie magnet tray.
They already have it. It's showing on the Kickstarter.
Well, there we go. So that so I had it on good authority. So that people who have magnetized their bases don't feel like they've done work for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can magnetize your models into the Mechie. It's just like a flat sheet of metal that fits into the slider slots.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
We are huge fans of Tabletop Tech and Meki, and I'm super happy that their Kickstarter is going extremely well so fast. And I think that goes to prove that there's a need and a space for things like this in the hobby, which are crowdsourced and I won't say mom and pop, but smaller run businesses. Because right now, like GW is trying to do their display cases, and they're trying to get into this better, whatever their new case system is. And
It's still foam, isn't it?
I think so. I don't know. I mean, frankly, I had a Citadel case and I hated it.
I have one I'm trying to get rid of. So
But
No,
I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's not a bad product for what it is. Like, I'm not slamming GW or in any way, but I think we all agree that they need to stick to the rule writing and the model making, not the accessory kit.
well, and that's because one of the things that I found very encouraging, like I said, Tabletop Tech, and you probably heard the stinger at the start of the episode that Coda and I did, but Tabletop Tech is a partner to the podcast. And we're going to be very selective about who we partner with. And one of the things that I liked about Tabletop Tech and kind of got my yes vote for partnering with them. This all happened before the Kickstarter even launched, but they're not in it for the almighty dollar. Like, yes, they're a business, they're trying to make enough money, blah 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 blah. But they are doing this because they saw a need within the hobby space, and they said, well, we can meet that better than most other companies can. So,
And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can speak to it enough. And so, like, frankly, I'm going to be the quiet one here for once and just say, go see. Link's going to be in the description. I don't think you're wasting your money if you pledge.
well, and even if the early birds are gone, like I'm looking in the Quad Night case, which I picked up, and I only mention it first because it's at the top of the list for me. The early birds are down to 1 out of 10. And again, this is as of Thursday night, so by the time you're hearing this on Monday, it could be different. A lot of the early birds are sold out. 6 up, like, so the single demon case is at 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for the single night case.
I think that it's worth a look for everybody.
My point was, where I was going with that though, is that even if the early birds are gone, they're still discounted for the Kickstarter versus what you'll pay on the store. So definitely something to go check out, particularly. And I should also mention, like, I know this is a 40K podcast, and our point is 40K. But they've done customized case sets for Old World, for Age of Sigmar, for Middle Earth strategy games, BattleTech, Marvel Crisis Protocol, Bolt Action. There's a few others that they're like, oh yeah, this product will work cross-compatible with. And they are honestly the friendliest company I've ever dealt with. So if you have a question, if you're like, hey, I collect this weird, obscure tabletop game that only me and 3 other people on the planet play, and this is the stats for what I have, can I use this? And they'll be like, well, you could probably fit into this, or we can probably make it work like this, or hey, like, we've got the magnet sliders, if you can magnetize them, they'll stick. All these kinds of things. So
Oh, they seem like all around pretty good people.
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much are.
Now, we've plugged our friends, and I say plug to be sort of tongue in cheek. I do think we're they are good people to support. But you mentioned earlier something that I want to hit on, and I think tonight might be the first episode where we're not fully submersed in 40K. You said we're in a hobby renaissance.
Oh, 100%. And that was kind of the next place that I wanted to go with this, is some of the sort of either 40K adjacent or non-40K Kickstarters that I've seen recently. Because like, it's blowing up and it's super cool to see.
I think that you are right, and it's weird because I want to say you're right that we're in a renaissance, and you're right that things are blowing up, and I think it's I'm sort of understanding how my parents felt when I was a teenager playing World of Warcraft, because I see Kickstarter and I see these fund places, and innately I go, "Oh, a scam," because I don't understand it. Crowdsourcing was not how things were done.
No.
5 years ago,
Yes.
10 years ago.
And I can 100% appreciate your concern. So for me, I'm old school Kickstarter. I backed my first project on Kickstarter in like 20 I'm going to say the year wrong and I'm going to make myself look like an idiot, but let's just see, cuz it'll actually tell me on Kickstarter. I've got Kickstarter up on my other screen. My first project that I backed was 2015. See, I would have been wrong.
I wonder, is it related to tabletop?
Sort of. It was a card game.
Oh, okay, straight up.
So my first project that I ever backed was the Exploding Kittens card game.
Oh wow.
And I backed to get the Not Safe for Work deck.
It's like trading card history, bro. You're part of it.
Right? I mean, the things that Matt Inman has done since then, like my kids adore Taco Cat. It's one of their favorite games. We're probably getting them Throw Burrito for Christmas.
It's so much like okay. So wait. I've played. These are you're active in these games, right? You throw shit around.
In Throw Burrito, yes. In Taco Cat, it's like a dueling game.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, your cards have values and it's about who's got what and all this stuff. It is fun and it's fast. The thing that I like about it is it's fast. So like if my 8-year-old wants to be like, Dad, I want to play a game, I can be like, okay, well, let's play Taco Cat. And I know I've committed to like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I've only ever played I played Throw Burrito before, and like I think it's called like Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza or whatever. All very violent games. Only ever played with buzzed college kids. So I don't really know much about like how it's supposed to be played with youngsters, but more power to you. I hope you actually keep the burrito. Don't lose it in your house or what.
Yeah. Well, so then the other one that we're not getting, but I have my eye on, is the follow-up to Throw Burrito, which is Throw Avocado, which functions both as a standalone and as an expansion to Throw Burrito.
How is it any different?
It's an avocado instead of a burrito. Come on, Mark, keep up.
I'm sure that makes sense to a child.
So the reason I bring this up, my hesitancy for Kickstarter, is because I do think that with the renaissance we're having with ideas in the hobby space, people who are even comfortable with Kickstarter don't know where to put their money.
Yeah, and there's a lot of options out there, and so for me, I think Kickstarter is a place where I look at it and I'm like, I think that's cool, and I'm willing to gamble X amount of dollars. I look at my other backed projects, right? So I backed Exploding Kittens, and that was the first project I ever backed on Kickstarter. But I backed Exploding Kittens on Kickstarter because I was like, okay, I've followed Matt Inman on the oatmeal for forever. I know enough about him to know that I believe he'll actually like finish this project, and we'll go from there. My second project then was 4 years later. It took me 4 years to back another project on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And it was an app for creating D&D pixel art.
Oh, like AI or just like it just pixelates?
No, like it gives you the option. You build your character out and it lets you create it was around the same time that D&D Beyond started to blow up.
Gotcha,
and so it was like, hey, make a pixel sprite for your D&D character. And it was $11, right?
Sure.
And then I backed for a light for streaming that I have, but in between backing for it and it getting delivered, I stopped using a camera for streaming. So that's the same thing. And then I backed 2 projects this year. which is where my opinion that like we're in a hobby renaissance comes from. I backed for a set of metal dice that are shaped like bullets and fit into a revolver cylinder for storage.
Oh yes, you did show us that.
Yeah, so excited about that. And then I've backed for the Mechie Plus case.
Yeah.
So
I'm not personally used to a Kickstarter. I think I may have Kickstarted like one thing years ago that never did anything, but this is I think this is my first soiree that I want to say into Kickstarting, and I'm very excited. You know.
it's worth mentioning and as weird as this will sound as somebody who is a Kickstarter fan and loves a lot of things that have come from Kickstarter, I agree with Coda that there's a lot of stuff on Kickstarter that doesn't deserve your money, and it can be hard sometimes to tell what the right way to Kickstarter is.
Right.
And there's kind of two ways that you can go about it. You can focus on things that are either because like there's companies like Oculus that are doing Kickstarters to fund a new product, all right?
Sure.
Or on a smaller scale, we've got, Tabletop Tech, which we've already talked about. We knew Tabletop Tech from before. I was already considering buying one of their cases. The Mechie Plus is the same thing but better, and I was like, cool, sold. I'm happy. Or you can look at the Kickstarter and you can say, hey, this looks like a thing that would be really cool if it existed, and I'm willing to light X amount of dollars on fire in the hope that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I, outside of 40K, I'm a big tabletop RPG fan.
Oh yeah.
And right now that is dominated by D&D.
Yes.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of other systems, but it's dominated by D&D. You have things like Critical Role, you have Dimension 20, a whole, I mean, and for good reason. D&D is a great system.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that, like, Nintendo is a great gaming system. Is it the best gaming system? No. But you know what? It's the only system that truly reaches all ages.
I'm really glad we're not a Nintendo podcast because the lawsuit is Power World. I would be ranting this whole episode.
But I'm a huge fan of seeing what other TTRPG games come through Kickstarter. Like, I'm in the process of backing one for my wife, actually. That is a Nordic horror TTRPG.
Oh,
So
fun.
it takes like the setting is Eastern and Northern Europe, like Scandinavia and the Baltics and stuff.
That's awesome.
So like one of the bad guys is Baba Yaga, or classic vampires, or the Dark Fae.
All right, like Brothers Grimm stuff.
Yeah, and things like that. And it's what I like is like the limited edition, not limited edition stuff. So like the you pledge X amount, and you're gonna get this, and I like that. Or like for example, a City of Ancient Prague, or a map of Ancient Prague, not a City of Ancient Prague. I can't speak today.
And yet we're doing a podcast, so here we go.
One of the reasons, so twofold, great for the game because one of the campaigns takes place in Prague. Two, little known fact, Prague is one of the oldest cities in Europe, and that was largely because it was not completely devastated by a war.
Oh, sounds right.
So it has some of the oldest buildings in Europe. And so as a fan of history, Prague is a very interesting city to me. And so to have a stylized map of it just tickles a certain part of my brain. But no, I'm very excited for this, and Kickstarter seems like it's going to be a good place for a long time for this type of stuff. But I do think Chris hits it on the head with I am willing to gamble X amount of money on this being a thing.
Yeah,
now,
and there are going to be some that it's a gamble, right? You look at it, and you're like, it'd be really cool if this existed, and I'm willing to lose this much money if it's not.
Yeah. There was, I think a buddy of mine mentioned the other day. I really shouldn't say, I have no specifics, but it was some like tabletop war game thing that was again Kickstarter coming out, and the concept was kind of like Warhammer, but it was like World War One type of thing, but
Trench
like
Crusade.
Trench
Trench
Crusade.
Crusade.
Yeah,
Trench
fucking
Crusade.
umpty-billion% funded.
Oh, okay. So to be fair, we might become a Trench Crusade podcast,
God.
at least a little bit.
It was described to me as World War One, like gas masks, all that stuff, trench warfare, but with like suits of armor and like medieval weaponry.
So it's model agnostic.
I don't know what that means.
So yes, they plan on producing their own model lines. It's part of the Kickstarter thing,
Okay.
but they aren't creating rules based off what those models are. They're creating rules for what those models should represent.
I see.
So the idea being, if you want to play, for example, the army of Beelzebub, which is essentially a Nurgle counterpart, and you want to bring your Nurgle army, then you can go, this is this. This plays as this. Because there is no, from what I understand, benefit to a model having a bigger base or smaller base.
Interesting. Okay.
You see this a lot in smaller games. Like there's a lot of one-page rule systems that are model agnostic.
Right. That makes sense.
But no, Trench Crusade, man, like holy crap! I mentioned that I'm a history nut.
This was mentioned to me. I just forgot the name of it.
To put it in quick summary, Crusaders hit Jerusalem back in the Crusades. They find demonic relic. They lose their mind to demonic relic. Open up portal to hell. It's now early 1900s. Portal to hell has stayed open, and the peoples of the world are defending themselves against hell. So you have the armies of man versus the armies of hell.
That sounds fantastic.
And I'm not going to go into the factions. Anybody can look into that. But just off the lore, it is just as grimdark as 40K, and it seems to be really well thought out. It has big name creators and everything with it. I'm keeping in a very close eye on it because if the models turn out to be halfway decent, it could be an interesting sci-fi hobby.
Yeah, that sounds really, really cool. Especially if I just use the models I have.
So their Kickstarter has ended. Their Kickstarter ended the same day that Mechie Plus went live.
Damn it.
From the looks of things. But like it's going to be for sale, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm finding interesting, though, looking through their pledges, is they're actually selling STL files for their miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
That is really interesting. Okay.
Because it's model agnostic, they don't care what models you use.
And they'll even if they release official ones, they'll still make money off them too.
Oh, people will buy official STLs in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because, getting stuff 3D printed in a lot of cases is as simple as going down to the library, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it's an interesting thing, and I say this to be the true GW stan that I am. Competition is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
GW has been fat and happy for a very long time because there has been nothing that truly takes its place.
Right.
Yep.
Whether war game is like what? Star Wars?
Well, but even the biggest of those war games, Bolt Action, Battle Mech, all that stuff.
Right, that's right.
They're not set in the same tone. People who love mechs might like Tau, but there isn't a whole lot in Warhammer that suits that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Nice.
I don't like hexagons anyway. So,
but you know what I mean, Chris? Like the aesthetic might be there, but it's not the same.
No, and BattleTech, there's a degree of granularity to the mech combat that I haven't found anywhere else.
And then Bolt Action is a lot more strategic, I find.
What does granularity mean? Quality of condition, scale or level of detail present You can keep going. I was just
So,
being
uh,
myself.
a perfect example is Drop Fleet. Drop Fleet was a contender for Battlefleet Gothic, which, for those of you that don't know, Battlefleet Gothic was GW's attempt to make a space combat game.
Yeah, that's right. That game.
They did a much better, in my opinion, a much better job making it a video game than they did making it a tabletop game. But the models were cool.
Oh, they tried to bring it to the tabletop.
Oh yeah,
That's
it
where it
was
started.
epic scale.
Oh.
That's where it started, was tabletop.
Okay. I really am out of my depth here. Okay. I'm on board.
Drop Fleet was a contend, or was a rival to it, I'll say. But Drop Fleet's rules took a degree of granularity that Battlefleet couldn't, because people who play GW games expect GW quality, for better or worse. You're not playing GW games and going to expect a completely different rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So like for Drop Fleet, for example, if you damage my ship, I roll a die, and based off what I get I deal with that type of damage. So like, it's a chance that you damage my reactor, a chance that you damage my engines, and like things can increase that chance, but each time you damage a different part of my ship, I deal with it differently.
Interesting.
And like, I don't have one ship, I have 20. So I have to remember that, ship A has no engine, but ship B has no shield, but ship C has, on and on and on.
Jeez, man.
What I'm finding now is, because things like Kickstarter exist, people who wouldn't otherwise be able to get funding, either because who wants to risk going up against a set name like Games Workshop, can find backing in people who like the idea but want to see it refined. And that's what I think we'll see at a Trench Crusade, which is a skirmish-based game like 40K that proposes to have just as much backstory and lore at a much more I don't want to say balance, because that might be putting words in their mouth.
Maybe palatable.
Yeah.
Because 40K is daunting.
Well, but also I think for them, the idea is that a demon is a demon is a demon, and not at this point, demon princes are useless, but next update they could be amazing.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
And that is one of the things I love about model agnostic games, is it doesn't matter if I have a demon prince. All that matters is that I'm running one.
Yeah, like this Nightbringer is a proxy for a demon prince and not another Nightbringer.
Yeah. So.
Which is famously very well proxied Necron armies.
Because the Nightbringer model sucks.
It's old.
It was like I think it was the other week. There's like this whole big fad on the Necron subreddit of like, can this be used as a Nightbringer proxy? And it's just like a banana or like a water bottle. People just get really into it.
Well, it's so on the World Eater Reddit, there's something similar. So if you buy the World Eater Combat Patrol,
okay,
you can build Invocatus or a Lord on Juggernaut.
Yes.
But if you choose a Lord on Juggernaut, you still have all of Invocatus's body parts.
Okay.
But not enough parts to make the Juggernaut that he sits on. So everybody turns him into, or turns the extra parts into a Master of Executions.
Oh, they don't just proxy the Juggernaut and put them on something?
But the hilarious thing is, because the model is meant to look like it's astride something, the way that they kit bash is hilarious.
Because otherwise he's got the gunslinger waddle.
Yeah.
I love that.
But it's hilarious because Like I think it's what 32 models, 31 models, or something like that in the combat patrol, and everybody's like, no, it's one extra because I can make a master of executions.
I can make it master executions. It's got something going on.
That's
So,
awesome.
I mean, I can't throw stones. I did it too. I mean, I hacked up a Primaris chaplain to use the legs, but still.
Oh my god.
One of the other things that I've found lately on Kickstarter that I've been getting shoved into my face quite a bit, and then I just don't have the money to pledge for too many of them, is terrain sets.
Terrain sets. Oh my god. I've got a couple like images saved on my phone for when I like should get a gaming space where I could put a table together and keep terrain on hand. So many nice ones that are so good looking.
Well, and a
Oh
lot
my
of
God.
these, like, it's not even like they're shipping you. Like, there's some of these, it's just, hey, we're going to make and design these STLs and we'll give them to you if we get enough funding.
So not Kickstarter, but Etsy
Oh, God.
is another system. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Fuck
I find a
yes.
lot of that stuff is overpriced. I find a lot of it can be cheap. But if you are somewhat capable in any sort of crafty way, it is an idea gold mine. For example, my World Eater army has the Blessings of Corn. Well, how do you keep track of that? Hey, a corn skull shaped dice holder that keeps track of those blessings would be great. And stuff like that. I think the internet marketplace has allowed the transfer of ideas as well as the ability to make your army yours. You get special dice, you get special trays. Suddenly you're not just a guy with a corn army, you're the guy with a corn army.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then
And
you
like
get a bright red Mechie Plus case, and,
that's like a good point also. Like as far as like ancillary things that are not necessarily required to play your army, but are really nice to have to play your army, you can like do up. Would you guys recommend picking up? Because I have a couple ideas now that kind of Limerick brought it up. That I went to my LGS, played some games, saw it, and then bought it the same second because I needed it for my army. It's like I needed a couple of 9-inch sticks. I needed like some stuff that would help me mark off my deployment zones better, that kind of thing. I bought my own. Necron themed objective markers so that if my opponent doesn't bring any, like, well, now we're playing on Necron land. I'll just bust these bad boys out.
Objective markers are something you always need to have, whether they're icons or pads.
Yep.
You should always have them. The big one that I don't have yet, but I am going to get, and I don't have yet because it doesn't matter too much for a lot of my guys. Wound counters.
Oh yeah, you're right. I should use dice. That's a good point.
I bought the GW Wound Tracker dice, so
There's so many different and cool wound counters out there that I think it's not mandatory, but anybody who wants to take the game seriously, that is such an easy way to make it look so much better than. And wound tracking dice are fine too, because they're a set apart thing. Using the same colored dice that you're rolling.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I'd end up rolling the wound trackers and being like, well,
shit.
The other one, a CP tracker. Now I use a D10, but
I've been against an opponent that he would use an oversized red D6, and it was so obnoxious to look at. But it worked.
One thing that I did, that happened at one of the last tournaments I went to, and I want to do it going forward. A guy had 40 regular size D6, but he was an orc player, and they had on the 6 face just a wah.
Sure.
And he gave one to every opponent.
Aw,
that's awesome.
That's so sweet.
And so, like, for me, it'd be, get a red D6 with the corn skull on it, and give it to every opponent, and just be like, hey, good game.
That's a great idea. I would love to do that.
that.
Or like, Fuck, actually, that's such a cool idea. Because, like, thinking about it, like, what I want to get from a match, it'd be so cool to have. Like, and I was thinking about it earlier with, like, the Mechi cases. Like, a lot of them have little display ports for, like, commemorative coins,
Yep.
Which, like, I could just print a coin to that fucking size. It's like, here's your commemorate your victory or defeat at my hands or some shit like that. That'd be so fucking cool.
It just means that every time I look at that dice, I'm going to remember that game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And dice can get expensive. Even regular customized dice can get expensive.
Yep.
But not to say that this hobby is price restrictive. Like, you don't have to be rich to play it. But if you're already spending the money,
Yeah. If you want to have the bling out for everything themed your army, can get.
well, yeah. I mean, I equate it to people who play rec league sports. You don't have to get the top line, but if this is your hobby, why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. So it's what you love. You're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if anyone out there is listening and you happen to have a plugin or have the official Necron dice, please let me know. If you could get them for me for less than $100, I would appreciate it.
I'll
Very
talk to
heavily.
you afterwards.
The magical LGS that the Liberty lives nearby. I like those things are like they're probably like out of like I guess manufacturer or stock, and they're like hard to find now. You go on Amazon, Google Necron dice, you get like generic green ones, and they're fine. It's what I use. But like there's ones with like the Necron tomb symbol on the 6. And it's like, well, shit, I'm hard, so now I need to get those. That's the next step.
Well, shit, I'm hard.
I'm putting a picture into the channel chat here of a thing I just found on Etsy that I'm like, I feel like I kind of need a version of this.
I know how to navigate this, don't I? Yeah, those are the ones that I use. Limerick. Or at least very. Oh no, they're not. They have the symbols. Wait, where'd you get these?
I linked it to you.
What are these? These aren't the. Okay. These are all right. Sick. This is pretty fucking close. Sorry, getting sidetracked.
And if you go to their website, they have a whole crap ton.
Thank God. There's something for everything. You don't have to pay through the nose for every aspect of your favorite hobby. You can shop around. Lots of different things you can do.
It's one of those things. Accessories don't make the game, but they make the game better.
Yes.
It's about making it yours. Like,
Yeah.
It's about being a hero.
that's
I think that, and
There's the chat. Okay.
Etsy and Kickstarter allow for that because it allows more people into the space. And I do not think for a second that more people is ever bad for anything.
No. What have you posted, Chris? What is this? Just like it's like an all around.
it's a match tracker. So
Why is
primary VP, secondary VP, command points at the bottom, and what turn it is at the bottom left.
All right, that's pretty cool. I like this as a concept. The Necron one is a little bit
So
like interesting.
it's the same. Like, I went out and bought a specific tape measure for me.
Yep.
And I think it's considered a sewing tape measure because it's tiny. But it's because I don't need a DeWalt construction tape measure.
No, you don't.
You want to know what's funny? This was a gift from my mother back when me and my brothers got back into 40K for the one Christmas. She bought us all hobby kits, and so she made us painting trays. But what it was a piece of 2x4 with holes drilled and then dowels cut so that you can like sticky tack models to the top to spray them.
Cool.
Oh wow!
And it holds, I think, 6 or 8 models. I think it's 8 models. Each of them holds 8 models. But then with it, she gave each of us a 6-foot Milwaukee tape measure.
That's so nice. It's like you gotta have a good tape measure that fits in your palm of your hand, and it's easy to fidget with during a tournament.
It is, it's perfect.
It's the same. So my mom is a huge artsy, crafty person. She has a Cricut. She loves to do all that type of stuff. When I thought for half a second that I hated myself enough to draw diamonds, I wanted to play Harlequins. I have since learned that my self-loathing does not extend that much.
No,
Um,
you deserve better.
and but
Anyway,
as a cheat, I just had her print laminated checkerboard.
Oh, that works.
I couldn't ever get it really to work, but I don't think I was using the proper laminate. But stuff like that, if you're looking for special decals, they exist out there now. If you're looking for stencils, they exist out there now.
what'd you say? Did you say decal?
Decal.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's
Whatever.
a decal.
No, the American way.
It's a
Mark, you've got to
decal.
give up.
No.
They
Wait,
do it on purpose at that point.
Nate, you're in the U.S., aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, 2v2, bitch. Ha.
Yeah, except
yeah.
that I'll start saying schedule and then it'll be 1v3 again.
Go. No. Our lieutenant. Fuck.
It is a lieutenant.
I know
It
it's
is
a
a
lieutenant
lieutenant.
now. I understand. I went to public schooling in America.
Oh, that was the other thing. Something I strongly recommend everybody to get as part of their hobby kit.
A lieutenant.
A dice tray.
That was one of the first gifts I ever. Sorry to piggyback off you, Limerick. I know you have a point to finish.
No, go ahead.
But like when I first got into tabletop, games in general, and I was first in my family to kind of go into nerd shit, that kind of realm. My parents were so supportive. My younger sister, who was I think she was 14 at the time, for Christmas gifted me a handmade dice tray that she made out of like wood that she sanded and stained herself, and did like a padding of like this black felt for the bottom. And it's my first dice tray, and I still use it today, 7 or 8 years later.
Yep.
It's still I use it every day. Not every day. Sorry, I use it every time I roll dice for D&D. I bring it to my LGS and use it for Warhammer. It's great.
I have one that my wife bought me. So it was that same Christmas that like my brothers and I had gotten into 40K. And nobody really understood what it was, but we were like, well, I mean, there's stuff that would be nice. And the missus and I went to Edmonton Comic-Con that year, and there was a guy there that was selling like handmade game products. And one of the products it was a circular dice tray, but it has a lid on it, and he did like laser etchings on it. And so this one is the more traditional design of Mjolnir with Norse runes in a circle around it.
Okay.
And I just stood and stared for a couple of minutes. And lo and behold, under the Christmas tree that year was this exact dice tray.
Oh, that's nice.
My dice tray was a consolation prize for my first tournament.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice prize.
So no, legitimately it was the wooden spoon. I didn't win a single game. I got my ass kicked by everybody I played.
Yeah.
And as the wooden spoon, the shop had its own printed felt collapsible dice trays, and I use it now.
That's awesome.
Every once in a while, I think it's cursed because my dice rolling hasn't gotten any better since that day. But
Yeah, it goes full circle. Nate, you roll dice in real life yet, Nate?
I have nothing.
No, Nate.
He hasn't even gotten around to building the Norn that we got him for his birthday.
I don't have any fucking time.
that's
That is the problem.
Yeah.
That somebody face. Oh, I wasn't expecting.
it's
I also
Oh.
can't afford to buy anything like paint and stuff because I don't want to put the Norn halfway together and then have to stop because I
Nah,
need to paint
fair
something
enough.
I can't get to.
so.
Yeah.
I think Nate hit on something that is huge: is time, and I'm finding right now that, ironically, it's. I never thought I'd have time, but not the will,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it's sometimes looking through Etsy and looking through Kickstarter and stuff. That's like, hey, you know what I should do? I should reduce my pile of shame.
No. With what is potentially coming in the near future, it's not a pile of shame anymore. It's a a cost-efficient stockpile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get that shit in before the prices go up.
But it's yeah. I don't know. I think that the internet marketplace, and the stuff is a great thing. The ability or the rise of 3D printing has been a huge boon to the game. Now it's a double-edged sword because as well as it's been a boon to the accessories, I personally despise and loathe third-party models.
Third party. Oh, like ones that just are meant to look a different way, or someone like I printed these Death Knights off of the internet.
Uh, I mean, certain people or companies that have space naval soldiers or astral naval soldiers instead of space marines.
Like they know they're not
the explicitly copyright infringement sites.
right. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
the site.
Temu and the
Oh, but not even that. There's legitimate companies that couldn't get the creative chops to make it look different enough that they just went, well, we'll do it this and cheaper, and that way people will do it.
Yep.
yeah.
And I have a hard time with that because let's not kid ourselves. If GW decides it's not profitable to do this anymore, we lose a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, third-party bits like Pop Goes the Monkey and stuff, I'm all for. Make the models your own.
What the fuck is Pop Goes the Monkey?
It's a site that does variant bits, and so like it'll give you guns that look different and stuff. Mine, I'm looking at buying special armor for my eventual Knight Tyrant.
Right.
And I'm going to be using Legio models because they do a Nurgle Tyrant armor set and weapons.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Gross.
Oh, it's going to be so gross. I'm going to love it.
And like the thing that they do though is they're not doing full models. They do arms, helmets, weapons, shoulder pads.
You still have to buy the G-Dub bits.
Yeah. And the reason that I am okay with that over the other stuff is that it's I don't want something for cheaper. I want something better.
Yeah. It's an enhancement. It's not I couldn't afford the actual thing, which not that I don't want this to come across like we're poor shaming. We would rather that you like went and made your own papercraft minis than gave money to these companies that are like, they exist on the back of copyright infringement.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many people at my FLGS have extra armies that they would lend people?
Oh, I'm not saying that's not an
hobby,
option. And
but I'm saying if you want to get into the hobby and price is a factor, talk to your local FLGS. There's things called bring and buys that happen all the time, where people sell off their extra stuff for their armies. There's, like we have mentioned before, there's ways to get in the game at a very low cost comparatively.
Yeah.
Combat Patrol, 500 point games, Kill Team, Boarding Patrol, or Boarding Party. Like Chris said, I don't want companies that run the gray area of legality to benefit from my hobby. And I say that knowing full well I use Wahapedia.
Well, but that's like Wahapedia is offering a service that GW refuses to provide. Like if GW gave me the ability to pay for a digital version of the rules that exists on an official website a la D&D Beyond, I'd stop using Waha forever. I would give them my money. But I can't. I have to have physical books.
Yeah.
Well, and like for me, I have the physical books for the armies I play. But when I'm playing Tabletop Simulator, the last thing I want to do is rummage through a physical book when I have a second screen.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
but this is where like I had this whole rant about G-Dub's entire failure on digital deliveries the other day. And that's 100% where that comes from, is I would rather use a G-Dub official product that GDub keeps up to date on a GDub website. Like again, all of D&D Beyond, because I think D&D Beyond is the shining example of how a digital marketplace can be run. And Games Workshop just refuses to do it.
Yes.
So, what? There was something else I was so excited to talk about the Kickstarter stuff, and then we've talked about this for like an hour and gone off on pretty much every rabbit trail that I could think of.
This is what we do. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of the cornerstone of how the podcast functions. But there was some news in the Warhammer space that I also wanted to talk about.
Nice.
There were a couple of things. Actually, first one, did you guys see the new trailer for Secret Level that comes out in just under a month?
Yes, I did.
No.
I am so excited. Also,
I am
delighted.
ridiculously excited over the fact that the Warhammer episode is a direct continuation of Space Marine 2.
Yeah, Titus comes back so quickly.
We get more Titus. I'm also like, I go into giggling fits every time I see them talking about your favorite games, and they include Concord on the list.
Yeah,
But
jumped
that's
the gun, man.
neither here nor there. It's like, okay, let's just like,
That's all. Oh, calm down. You can take the Concord
Um,
episode back. I'll have fun.
this is a thing that we could talk about because this came up. Not that I'm really following the Votan stuff all that closely anymore, but people talking about models that exist in other systems, namely Necromunda for 40K.
Oh yeah.
Because there's some things that I think should cross over from Heresy to 40K, but I can understand why they'd maybe want to put fences up there. But Necromunda, which exists within 40K and 40K. And the reason this came up is they're in Necromunda, they still have and have had for some time the squats, which is being described as just sort of like a local sub-faction of the Votan. Like they have confirmed that they are Votan. It's a group of Votan that just like they live on Necromunda and they don't want to leave. But the squats got a 3-wheeled scout trike the other day that looks absolutely incredible. And they have an armored mech suit that looks like a very angry egg. And the Votan subreddit is up in arms over the fact that Necromunda squats are getting cooler models than actual Votan.
Yeah, like out of the universe. What do these look like? Let me find these. Or do you
So I don't know. I get it,
So here's the scout track, Mark.
and I say I get it because I know the moment that I'm very tempted to make my Lord Invocatus ride one of the butcher bikes from Necromunda.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they just revealed this too. That's right.
Not Sir Rhino?
What does that mean?
No,
this was the-
I'm trying to find out where it is. Oh, Goliath Maulers. That's what they're
Goliath
called.
Maul.
There you go, Mark. That's a tank that the Ironheads get in Necromunda.
The iron. Wait, the what?
That's what they're called, the Ironhead Squat Prospectors.
Oh, I think you said the Iron Hands. Like, what the fuck are the Iron
No,
Hands
it's
doing?
Ironheads.
It has
So this
one
isn't-
gun?
Well, yeah, it's like an exploration vehicle.
Yeah.
So this is another Necromunda unit that I'm posting in here, and I want my Lord Invocatus or Lord Avocado to ride it.
Kinky.
Better be shaped like a fruit.
Oh
it's
my
actually
God.
legitimate. Holy shit.
That is the
that's
angriest motorbike I've ever seen. Okay, wait. No. So for the Spotify listeners, we need to talk about this thing because that is it essentially looks like a Space Marine war bike that's on the juice. Like that thing is all the way on the sauce.
It's got multiple sharp edges, one big wheel. I think a smaller wheel in the back.
Is that
Looks like
is that
treads in
treads?
the
That looks like
back.
treads in the back, a big wheel in the front, mean looking like underslung forward facing like spikes basically.
Yeah, I think
Mounted bolster.
so. if World Eaters ever get bikers or Juggernaut riders, that will be what I put them on.
That's wild.
That is
And
fantastic.
now, question for you as a Votan player: why wouldn't you make your pioneers those top guys?
Well, I mean, the fact that I'm not going to be playing the Voten anymore is pretty much the only reason.
Nice.
Or
Well,
you're
okay, no.
assuming that the sizes are the same.
Assuming the base sizes are similar, the biggest problem is that it's missing the rear-mounted weapon option. You'd have to find a way to kit bash an overhead gun onto it because one of the three gets like a mounted weapon.
Yeah. Because the other one would be the Sagittar.
The other one would be a decent Sagittar proxy. Unfortunately, it's 10 millimeters longer and 15 millimeters wider.
Yeah.
It's exactly halfway between the Sagittar and the Hecaton.
But yeah, I think Necromunda is a good
Necromunda's
piece.
just had really cool stuff for a very long time.
And he keeps getting new stuff too. Like
Yeah.
saw, look at this shit that was released just the other day. It was coming. I don't know what it is, but it's in
Right.
Necromunda. What even is that?
It's a worm. What's it look like?
It is more than just a worm. It appears to be the size of a small house and have a man in its maw.
Well, I mean, the size of that arm says it's not the size of a small house, but
At least tall as a small.
it's roughly the size of like a
It's like an 8-foot worm.
like a Toyota Corolla. You know?
It's a 10-foot worm.
Actually, here's a good picture. This is the image that has a lot of Reddit squat traditionalists up in arms. It turns out it wasn't a dreadnought. It's an armored infantry unit is the egg. And so here's the picture that people are mad about.
I love it.
It's very much more, and again, for the Spotify listeners, it literally is just like a green angry egg with arms
It's
and
so
legs.
round.
But this is extremely more reminiscent of what the armored infantry were for the original squats, and the Hearthguard are actually quite a departure from that. And are more along the lines of like Terran Marines from StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but so I understand where I think had they just brought the squats back as the squats, you would have had new people. Not like they're not a new army.
I don't think they need to come back as the squats. I think calling them the Votan and giving them new lore and stuff was good. I don't think they needed to, and not that I'm unhappy that they did, but I don't think they needed to deviate from what the squats were quite so much, at least visually.
Yeah, I don't know. You're talking to probably the one guy on the planet that hates the fact that the orcs are a laughing joke. So I don't want egg boys either.
The orcs
I don't
are
want
too old.
ridiculousness. Yeah,
No, it's not even ridiculousness. Orcs are legitimately as terrifying as Tyranids.
yeah.
Lore wise, they live to fight. They will rip you apart and eat you. Like there's stories of them keeping humans in pens for food,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we as a community have decided, nope, they're hooligans that think red is fast and purple is sneaky, and
yeah, like they're
Wow.
primordial.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I would
they're-
argue that both are true.
But one
I
definitely
would
doesn't
argue
get.
that the way we describe the hooliganisms detract from the prior.
Yeah, I definitely, I've not met many orc players, but they're definitely like a slapstick approach to the hobby for them. They don't take it like as a
You know
like
where
a,
that
you should fear
slapstick
me.
You know what that slapstick approach largely came from, I think, was from older editions where orcs were allowed to take literally any vehicle, orcify it, and then run it using its original rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like I get that it's not as a community, if that's what we want it to be, cool. The community decides. I'm saying I would much rather fantasy orcs from back in the day, and even Ironjaw orcs from Age of Sigmar, where they are like in it to win it, not just jokes.
Mm.
Which, I
Um,
mean, we do get a little bit of that back with Gazgul, and a lot of the narrative around Gazgul is like, no, this is a legitimately terrifying orc who is here for a good fight, but he's here to win every fight he fights.
maybe it's the accent that I have a hard time with. That could be it too. I don't know.
Oh, so you're racist.
No.
They're white. Does it matter?
They're
They're-
green.
they're-
They're
We're gonna get
green.
canceled. We're getting canceled so fast. Eh.
No, I just so it, like
What's the-
we have murder clowns more scarier than the green monsters that want to eat things and kill people.
Yeah.
That's fair. Also, the murder clowns are terrifying.
And they should be. Like 40K has no good guys and it has very little comedy. The
Sure.
reason we find it funny is because we're not living it.
Yes. We have to cope somehow.
Mm-hmm.
How many? What kind of subscriber count do we need to get to, Limerick, to have you record one of these episodes doing an entirely orcish accent the entire time?
Oh, don't even. Don't even.
We can quantify that.
We'll make that the 10,000 subscriber special. We'll all do orky accents for an entire episode.
It'll be terrible.
But so like that's my issue with the egg people. At the same time, I do understand that people like their models and that they have grown to love a certain thing, an aesthetic. That was one of the reasons why people hated Primaris, despite the fact that Primaris, it's inarguable that they look better.
Oh, they look so much better. The issue was that they supplanted the rules of the old guys. If they had introduced them just as a true scale alternative and nobody had to buy new models, I don't think you'd have heard a word.
No, exactly. Yeah, people get attached to their models, and it's the same. Like as a world leader, I follow world leader subreddits and groups, and people every once in a while complain about how the new berserkers aren't like the old berserkers, and I'm like, yeah, thank God.
There's going to be a day that they're finally going to release the orc boys box, and it allows you to build a full unit of shootas or a full unit of sluggas, and someone somewhere will complain about them losing their identity.
Yeah, it is the way it is. But I don't know. Orcs comedy has its place. Slapstick doesn't, I don't think. But I am just one person.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all allowed to be wrong every now and then.
Oh my
Exactly. Now, that being said, as I was saying, Necromunda has an amazing range, and I think if you find something you can use from that range, by all means, go ahead. The
Yes.
Mauler bikes. If you wanted to run a group of, because how big are the exo drillers?
Bigger.
Bigger?
So Hearthguard are on 32 mil bases, and I think the Exo Drillers are on 40s or something like that.
Or a Thunderkin on 40s?
Yes, looking at them right now, I think so.
So if you wanted to run a group of exo drillers as Thunderkin, I wouldn't be against it. Same way if you wanted to run a group of squats as something that base makes sense, I wouldn't be against that either.
So I agree with you, and there are certain things that it would almost be nice to get bespoke 40k rules for the Necromunda models and run them as them.
Oh, definitely. And, maybe that's where they go with that. I don't know. It makes logical sense to me. I think one of the reasons that they don't is because if I remember correctly, an exo driller is $60 and it's one.
It's something like that, yeah.
And because of how Necromunda points work, you just need one.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in 40k, you might need 5.
Oh, that makes sense.
Unless they make them like dreadnoughts, but then their stats would be weird, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Necromunda, it's funny. I once heard a description like this. There are people that play 40k, and there are people that play Games Workshop games. And they're sometimes interchangeable. Then there's people that play Necromunda, and they have never touched anything else.
Never even heard. I only recently became aware of Necromunda wasn't even a thing. So, like, LGS is like talking about doing like a league. And, like, I don't even know how this game is played. Is it a role playing game? Is it tabletop warfare? I don't even know.
It is, I think, the proto ancestor to Kill Team.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
that
it's
makes
kind of the OG like small team skirmish game.
In all honesty, I think it was 40K's answer to Blood Bowl.
Isn't Blood Bowl Games Workshop?
It is.
I love
Yeah,
Blood
but Blood
Bowl.
Bowl was fantasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Blood Bowl's hilarious, by the way.
I love Blood Bowl.
Oh my god. I know nothing about Blood Bowl.
It's a good time.
I'm very sheltered.
It's violent fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'm not really much into football. What, like Blood Bowl?
You'd still enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's
It's
violent
not football.
fantasy. Like, it's meant to be like football, but it's not football.
You try to
Players
get down
die.
you try to get down the field without your whole team dying,
Oh my god.
basically.
All right. There's so many different games we need to try out. You know, we just started a little soiree into we're learning what boarding actions is all about. Now we got to do 4 more different systems. Which, if you haven't, you know, and you're still on the fence about trying to get into 40K, I don't know if you've spoken about boarding actions before, but boarding actions, fantastic. Piece de resistance.
So, we talked about the squat release. Are we going to talk about what they announced for 40K?
Which one?
Yeah.
The Emperor's Children have shoulders.
The shoulders.
Yeah, so that I've learned is less of a release announcement and more of a teaser.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
Like
I didn't think it was a
rumor
release
engine
announcement.
without the. Well, okay, the way that it was presented to me made it sound like they're like, "Hey, here's what you get for Emperor's Children. It's shoulder pads," and I'm like,
No.
what?"
It does make me think that the next box kit between two armies is going to be Emperor's Children and Eldari.
What are they doing?
Yes, I
Because
don't
we
get
got
the.
Phoenix
What's the
Lord
point of the
Flagon.
shoulder pads?
Well, they're bespoke to Emperor's Children.
Yeah, they're just going to be an every customizable kit for them.
Oh, okay.
It's like, Dark Angels have their own shoulder pads kit.
Right.
A bunch of different armies have them.
Yeah.
Did we
okay.
get a... Oh, we got a... Oh, I didn't really see... I didn't realize we got a new rumor engine 2 days ago.
Yeah,
This-
that was my birthday rumor engine. What faction do you think it's for, Mark?
Well, this thing that came out. I mean, unless it's what you're referring to.
That's actually not.
Oh, excuse me. There was... What the fuck is this?
Oh, yeah. So the shoulder pads are tagged rumor engine, Coda. I didn't even
Oh.
notice that.
What the hell?
What's the thing that Mark posted? What is that?
I'm not sure.
That
Came-
looks Eldari to me. And it actually looks like a crotch flap.
Oh, I could
Sorry.
see it.
Okay.
That's Drakenhof. That's Age of Sigmar.
Damn it!
Oh, yep.
Fuck. Okay, we got this.
It's
We got this.
still a crotch flap.
This is 40K. This one's 40K.
Yeah, that's the one that they released for 40K on my birthday.
Okay.
Gee, I wonder
Batch
which
door.
faction that's for.
Mm.
I
hope
mean,
it's-
it will be for Vashtor, just not in the way you're thinking.
So the question that I am wondering though, what is it? Like, it's obviously Imperial,
Mhm.
but
With an Inquisition eye on the skull.
Yeah, it's gotta be like
Like it's an Inquisitor servo skull.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Right,
following
but
somebody around.
It's like it's shoulder.
we've already got Imperial agents.
I think it's probably for Sisters.
Sisters have already released.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah. Who is this for?
they release
So
like
is
bespoke
this-
models all the time.
Is it? Well, I don't. Is this maybe for Guard?
Oh, I
Like
suppose
a-
that's possible.
Like a commissar?
Or like, well, so yes, bespoke models, but usually they come in time with releases. So like, I could see an Inquisitor being released with not alongside, but like along the same timeline as the Guard. Or
To be fair, though, they're also not beholden to a timeline on rumor engines.
Yeah,
True.
no. It
I-
probably should
it-
be years from now.
I was just curious because I'm looking at that going, oh, it's obviously Inquisition, but like, what?
Yeah.
Hmm.
We still don't know what this like chaos-looking leg was back in May.
I just want my own Vastor army.
A bespoke Vashtor army is like on every wish list I have.
Yeah.
I put together a
Yeah, I saw
unaligned
your shit
chaos
show.
list. It's not a shit show, it's a death ball. Those are different
It's a
things.
shit show.
Um
Okay, I'm just gonna avoid your death ball game.
no, I'll have 2 death balls. That's what the Night Brigands are for.
Whoa.
Those
Now
look
we're, now we're getting a little bit close to not safe for the podcast.
What?
2 balls? You know, I don't
Death
know.
balls.
I'll add a dick in there. I don't care.
That's, oh, wow.
Well, I'm going to take my 2 death balls. I'm going to go hard up the middle, and I'm going to penetrate all the way through your defenses.
No, there's a cutoff at the shaft. There is no shaft.
What shaft?
There's no. There are 2 balls. That's it. That's all you get.
That's all you get.
Okay. So, announced with the battle forces that was announced.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm just reading this now, and I think it's a huge thing because I like the books.
Yeah.
The Sunday preview for last Sunday is a illustrated and annotated edition of Malleus, which is the first Eisenhorn book.
Oh.
Eisenhorn is an amazing series.
Mhm.
One of my
It
favorites,
is,
yep.
and I love that they're bringing back these old books. Discussed earlier today was the fact that they're bringing back a updated Emperor's Gift, which is one of the first. Give me a second here. The Emperor's Gift was released in 2012, and it is a book by Aaron Dembski Bowen, purely about Grey Knights. And like a really good book about it too. It covers one of the wars of Armageddon, and then the time of shame, I believe is what they call it, which is a conflict between the Imperium and the Space Wolves.
Yep. Do you remember why they were fighting the Space Wolves?
No.
Because the Space Wolves accidentally heard an SOS call from a planet where the Grey Knights were fighting a demon invasion, and they came to help without being invited.
No, you are
is that a different
incorrect
one?
there, sir. So the period of shame, the Space Wolves answered Armageddon's cry for help. They realized that a demon incursion was going to happen and that Angron was coming. So they sent out runners to Titan to get, because
right, I got it back.
Logan Grimnar is one of the few Space Marines in the universe that knows that the Grey Knights exist.
Oh.
So he sends them out. They come help. Grey Knights are part of the Inquisition, and they say, if you know about chaos, we got to kill you. This is before the Great Rift opened. Things have progressed slightly since then.
Slightly.
So what they want to do is they want to kill the millions of soldiers who have survived the conflict, and Grimnar says
civilians.
And civilians. And Grimnar says, no, you can't do that. These are loyal soldiers that fought and died for this place, and they're loyal. And so he defends them and leads the Inquisition on a merry chase around the universe.
It's worth mentioning that the Space Wolves start using their battle barges to play a shell game with the Grey Knights, using the civilians as the ball.
Yes. And it eventually comes down to a clash where Bjorn Fellclaw?
Bjorn the Fell-Handed.
Yeah, Bjorn the Fell-Handed has to get involved. And the reason I bring this up is because Eisenhorn ties to this book. This book was written ages ago, and Eisenhorn ties into it.
Mm-hmm.
So Eisenhorn has a pupil named Ravenor.
Okay.
Ravenor becomes an Inquisitor of his own right, has his own story, but Ravenor finds a boy named Zale. Zale gets recruited by the Grey Knights and becomes Hyperion, who is the main character of the Emperor's Gift.
My God, how many layers?
Honestly, the core like 6 authors at Black Library that do all of their most high quality work, they all sit in a room and they're like, "Hey, how do we make this all better?
Like, hey, you got a guy, I got a guy. We trade guys.
Hey, can I borrow your guy? I want to talk about your guy. Can you talk about my guy?"
Like,
So-
yeah, sure. Here's 20 pages of his backstory.
Aaron Dembski, Dan Abnett and Aaron Dembski Bowden are possibly the best writers I've read. And not because they're works of art. Like, don't get me wrong, Stephen King is a literary genius. Your favorite author is probably a literary genius. I'm not demeaning them. Dan Abnett and Aaron Dembski Bowden are able to turn a universe that has no answers into a universe you know everything about that still has no answers. Aaron Dembski Bowden writes amazing chaos fiction. He makes you like the quote unquote bad guys, and he gives them traits that are likable, as well as still letting you know that no, these guys are fucked up. Dan Abnett is an amazing story writer. Like, there's a reason that these guys started and ended the Horus Heresy,
Yeah.
which, by the way, we learned is not over.
Not entirely.
There is one more book to come out called The Era of Ruin. It's an anthology, so I don't know what to expect of that. And that was a leak that was proven earlier. And by proven, someone found a book in a used shop, apparently, and everybody's like, oh, that's not a real book. But when you look at the paperback copies of The End of Death Part 3, The Era of Ruin is listed as a coming soon book.
Love that.
So, yeah. If you have time, The Emperor's Gift is an amazing book. It's on Audible. If you have an Audible account, it's totally worth the free credit you get a month. I legitimately, if I wasn't a World Eaters person, I would be a Grey Knight person. I'm not a Grey Knight person because my dad's a Grey Knight person, and
Right, yeah.
despite the fact that he's going to listen to this and go, "Well, you could do Grey Knights too," I can't. So I'm a World Eater person, and I'm okay with that.
I'm sorry, Pops.
No, it's Grey Knight versus Grey Knight isn't fun.
No, it's so boring.
Oh my God.
But this book is so cool because it is interesting to deal with a group of characters who are like Space Marines are often written as I'm not going to be politically correct here, and I don't mean to offend anybody. Well, actually, no. I'll use politically correct. They're often written as neurodivergent.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Like,
they
they're
very
often-
much are.
They're often written as so out of touch with what humanity is. And it's interesting because this book follows a squad of Grey Knights who are all psychic. They all can read each other's minds and everybody else's minds. These guys are still so far removed from humanity that they don't really know how to interact with humanity, but they interact with each other.
Yeah, because they all care about the same things and they care a lot about a very few specific things.
You learn about how the Mechanicum works with the Grey Knights and how like they have their own cults that, you know, believe that silver is the best metal and that's why they work with the Grey Knights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great book. I think it's a great starting point for people who aren't too far into it because it doesn't rely a whole lot on background knowledge. like I said, everything's connected to the Eisenhower and Ravnor series, but it doesn't require that. I think that Ravnor has an amazing gimmick for a series.
I will say Eisenhorn's guest appearance in Ravnor, I think it's in book 2, in Ravnor's trilogy, is one of the most like ridiculously over the top endings for a character. Not that like he doesn't die, but just like the state that he's in when he shows up, I'm like, what the fuck?
Right now, the Beckwin series is in, I won't say hiatus, but we're still waiting for the last book there. With the last book in that series, the cliffhanger on it was huge. That's the Yellow King being named being named Valdor.
Damn it! I was so excited for a second.
No, so that you should be excited. Valdor was the first custodian.
Oh, okay.
So Valdor was the first custodian, and he left after the Emperor was imprisoned. Or not, well, imprisoned yet, but after the Emperor was put on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
He left his weapons behind and just left. Nobody knows where he went to. Nobody knows what he did. The Beckwin series alludes to the fact that he might be building his own army and has been over the past 10,000 years.
Okay. I was originally excited because it sounded like you said treason.
Oh.
That's what I was
Necron boy.
I'm sorry. I know who Trajan is. I am excited. I appreciate it. It was different. It was a different kind of excitement. So like I was higher. Excitement. It just came lower. I'm not like so low that like, I'm disappointed. But it's just
the funniest part of all of that is the idea of the Golden King ending up being Trajan the Infinite just fucking around is entirely in character and a valid interpretation.
I'm looking for him everywhere.
So, the other thing I'll say about Black Library, they do have 2 different style of books. They have their Battles series, and then they have their narrative series that everybody knows. The Battle series is like it actually says, I think, Space Marine battles or whatever, and it's key battles throughout the 40K history.
Okay.
They are very light on story, very heavy on action.
All right, that sounds sick. I can see it.
In most cases, I prefer to listen to them because they sound like a movie versus reading them, where that's a bit different.
Yeah. There's a lot of like noise words if you're reading them.
Noise words.
And the gun goes. Pow.
Yeah, it's like, wait, I have to go read it back again. Like there goes the gun again. All right, I'm catching up.
So like one of them is the Badab War, where the Astral Claws turn into the Red Corsairs. Another is when the Tyranids attack Macragge. Another is the White Scar and Raven Guard defense against the Tau. So yeah, there's a lot of good books out there.
Yeah, I agree. I just gotta get to actually fucking reading.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that might be it for tonight. Yeah.
Okay. I think should wrap it up.
Excellent. Well, as always, if you're listening and you're like, God damn it, these idiots didn't talk about the one thing I wanted them to talk about, our email is blackstonefortresspodcast@gmail.com. You can send us an email and we will most likely talk about it. Try to be nice, and if you're going to be mean to Coda, because we'll all jump on board.
And he wasn't one that was late today, Chris.
Yell at the bird.
You know what? I have parenting responsibilities, and I'm fighting off getting sick. And I got laid off a month ago, and I haven't heard back from any of my job apps. And I deserve a little slack. And it's my birthday on Tuesday. And
You may take a 1 inch of slack.
oh, I
No,
always
no,
knew you'd
give
only
it
ever
back,
give me
give
an
it
inch.
back.
I always
Give it
knew you'd
back,
only
give it
ever
back.
give me an inch.
Give
Ah!
it back. Give it back.
Hey, an inch is sometimes twice as large as what people have. Okay.
All right, we're gonna follow up on that after the podcast.
Get in the
Figure it out later.
comments.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think that's where we're going to call it. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention to us for however long you decided to sit through this. If you made it through start to finish, I appreciate you ever so slightly more than the people who didn't. If you're here at all, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll probably talk about some more ridiculous shenanigans, and hopefully you're here to hear about it. Remember that you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. If you want to be able to see the stuff that we're talking about and you don't like our descriptive picture storytelling, because God knows we suck at it, the YouTube is the place to see. Reminder to go check out the Mechie Plus Kickstarter. Link will be in descriptions wherever appropriate. And yeah, say hi to them. Tell them Blackstone Podcast sent you. All right, take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Bye-bye.